While this is not a cause for alarm, it is not also a reason for us to be prepared for them to tow away BRP Sierra Madre. It will take more than a tugboat to pull out BRP Sierra Madre.
The sun is dying over the South China Sea. Orange, crimson, the kind of sunset that makes you forget the world has a dark side. But look past the beauty, past the stillness of that ancient reef, and you'll see it. A ghost ship. Rusting. Listing. Barely alive. And around it, dozens of shadows. Circling. Waiting. This is the most dangerous square mile on Earth right now. That rusted hulk has a name. BRP Sierra Madre. 81 years old. Built for World War II. Deliberately run aground on Second Thomas Shoal by the Philippines in 1999, not by accident, but by design. Inside her corroding hull, Philippine Marines eat rations, collect rainwater, and watch the horizon, surrounded by one of the most sophisticated maritime pressure campaigns the modern world has ever seen. It is a siege, 21st century style. And the weapon isn't gunpowder, it's presence. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Sun Tzu. If the moves being made right now in the South China Sea keep you up at night, you're in the right place. This channel is where geopolitics stops being noise and starts making sense. Stay locked in. In 1999, Manila had no money to build a base on Second Thomas Shoal. No political will to spark a confrontation. So they did something audacious. They parked a ship. The BRP Sierra Madre was deliberately grounded in the shallows. 14 Marines boarded. Their mission? Stay. Prove the Philippines is here. That was 25 years ago. The ship has been rusting ever since. And China has never accepted it. Geography is the most fundamental factor in the foreign policy of states. Robert D. Kaplan. In 2016, an international arbitral tribunal confirmed what geography already knew. Second Thomas Shoal sits squarely inside the Philippines' 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone. The tribunal further ruled that China's sweeping 9-dash line, covering nearly 90% of the South China Sea, had no basis in international law. China's response? They rejected the ruling entirely, didn't debate it, didn't acknowledge it, just continued.
地区和平稳定，亚太是世界。
China operates 3 maritime forces, the PLA Navy, the Coast Guard, and a third force most people have never heard of, the People's Armed Forces Maritime Militia. They look like fishing boats. They fly no military flag. But make no mistake, they are soldiers at sea. Up from 232 in 2024, up from 195 in 2023. The fleet grows every year. The presence tightens every year. And the world keeps scrolling. A May 2025 U.S. Congressional Research Service report was blunt. The PAFMM is the leading component of China's maritime forces for asserting its maritime claims, particularly in the South China Sea. In peacetime, they advance territorial claims. In wartime, they support combat operations, providing reconnaissance, creating obstacles, overwhelming adversaries. Command of the sea is the chief among the merely material elements in the power and prosperity of nations. Alfred Thayer Mahan. Mahan wrote that in 1890. Beijing took notes. But 241 boats a day is just the average. What happened on Christmas Day 2025 stopped satellite analysts cold. December 25th, 2025. While the world was distracted, 2,000 Chinese fishing vessels quietly stopped fishing. They formed up, two parallel lines, each stretching 460 kilometers across the East China Sea, the shape of an inverted L-perfect military geometry. Then it happened again on January 11th, 2026, 1,400 vessels locked into a rectangular formation stretching over 320 kilometers, so dense that cargo ships had to divert or zigzag through. One satellite analyst said it simply: in nature, you don't see straight lines like that.
It does not mean the South China Sea is becoming any safer. Quite the opposite. As Southeast Asian claimants have realized that Beijing is unable to stop their activities in gray zone methods alone, they have brought themselves into more and more frequent interactions with the CCG and militia.
A MTI director Gregory Poling wrote in the New York Times, these formations appear designed to test large-scale civilian vessel assembly in a future crisis, perhaps in support of a quarantine, blockade, or other forms of pressure. In 2013, Chinese Air Force Major General Zhang Zhaozhang went on television and described publicly exactly how China would handle Second Thomas Shoal. He called it the Cabbage strategy. Wrap the target in layers, fishing boats inside, Coast Guard beyond them, Navy ships on the outer ring, layer by layer like cabbage leaves until nothing can get through. No shots fired, no invasion, just an ever-tightening perimeter. He said it in 2013. He wasn't predicting it, he was announcing it. Today, April 2026, the strategy is in full execution. A MT-1 satellite imagery documents the formation around Second Thomas Shoal, Coast Guard vessels on permanent station, dozens of militia boats, fast intercept craft, aerial surveillance drones overhead.
At their level, they focus more on the more dangerous illegal actions, like the water cannon, or nudging, or very close maneuvers by bigger ships than what we do.
In August 2025, a 1,500-ton PLA Navy tugboat was spotted just 5 nautical miles from the Sierra Madre.
While this is not a cause for alarm, it is not also a reason for us to be prepared for them to tow away BRP Sierra Madre. It will take more than a tugboat to pull out BRP Sierra Madre. It is our assessment is that this is more for their own use in the event that they would need a tugboat to pull out any of the ships that would run aground in the shallow portion of Ayungin Shoal.
Philippine Navy Rear Admiral Roy Vicente Trinidad was direct. There are already rules of engagement and contingency plans in place for any eventuality. President Marcos drew the line, it will take more than a tugboat to pull out BRP Sierra Madre.
We owe it to the men and women in the front lines to provide them with the appropriate support that they need, especially food and other important supplies.
Great powers are always on the lookout for opportunities to gain power at the expense of rivals. John Mearsheimer, The Tragedy of Great Power Politics, 2001. Sieges have one logic: cut the supply line. Don't fight the garrison, just wait. The Sierra Madre can't survive without resupply. Food, water, medicine, fuel. Everything arrives by sea, threading a gauntlet of Chinese ships every single time. Since a fragile July 2024 provisional understanding between Manila and Beijing, the Philippines completed 13 resupply missions through March 4th, 2026, roughly one every 6 weeks.
So we have noticed that for every, I mentioned earlier, there is a change in their actions. There are no coercive and aggressive actions being conducted by the Coast Guard, Chinese Coast Guard, and the PLA Navy against our ships from the Coast Guard, BFAR, Navy, and our aircraft.
Philippine officials say they have proceeded without dangerous physical confrontations. But no confrontation doesn't mean no pressure. In November 2025, during the 12th resupply mission, Chinese vessels jammed all communications in the area, blinding U.S. drone surveillance overhead. The mission only proceeded because USS Nimitz was conducting joint exercises nearby. China backed off. Slightly. That time. The most violent moment came on June 17, 2024, when Chinese Coast Guard forces used what the Lowy Institute called melee weapons against Philippine personnel. A Philippine Navy sailor was injured. The region held its breath. Politics is a struggle for power. Whatever the ultimate aims of international politics, power is always the immediate aim. Hans Morgenthau, Politics Among Nations, 1948. The BRP Sierra Madre was built in 1944. She is not just old, she is decomposing. Rust spreads through her hull like a slow infection. Each typhoon season accelerates it. Maintenance is nearly impossible under permanent Chinese surveillance. If the ship collapses, the Philippines loses its legal foothold without a single missile fired. Not because of an invasion, because of gravity, because of rust, because the patience of a great power outlasted the integrity of steel. The size of China's displacement of the world balance is such that the world must find a new balance. This is the biggest player in the history of the world. Lee Kuan Yew, 2007. Lee Kuan Yew wasn't talking about one reef. He was talking about this, a civilization that thinks in centuries, not election cycles. The Sierra Madre is one move in a game that spans generations. The South China Sea is not just a body of water. It is the economic jugular of the modern world. $3 trillion in global trade flows through the South China Sea annually. 190 trillion cubic feet of natural gas beneath these waters. 17 billion barrels of proven and probable oil reserves. 50% of all global maritime commerce passes through here. Whoever controls the sea controls everything. Alfred Tyre Mahan, 1890. The United States has responded, USS Nimitz, joint exercises, repeated declarations that the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty applies to the South China Sea. But here is the brutal reality. Carriers deter war. They don't stop a Coast Guard vessel blocking a supply boat. They don't stop communications jamming. They don't stop rust. This is precisely why gray zone warfare is so effective. It wins in the space where carrier groups can't operate. China's goal has never been subtle. Their officials have stated it repeatedly. Remove the BRP Sierra Madre. Vacate the Reef. Legitimize the sovereignty claim through Philippine withdrawal, not by force, by fatigue. The July 2024 provisional arrangement wasn't goodwill, it was patience in diplomatic clothing. AMTI noted in March 2026 that while confrontations have reduced, China maintains permanent monitoring and control around the shoal. Navy, Coast Guard, militia, always on overwatch. The message embedded in that presence never changes. We are here. We are not leaving. And eventually, you will leave. This is what strategists call salami slicing, not one bold aggressive act that triggers a response, but thousands of tiny provocations, each below the threshold of war, cumulatively reshaping reality. "270 incidents in 13 years, each one a millimeter of sovereignty lost." If the Sierra Madre falls, voluntarily or structurally, China doesn't need to declare victory. The reef is simply empty. The precedent is set, and every other claimant, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, watches and calculates. That is the domino. And it doesn't fall with a bang. It falls with a whisper. The BRP Sierra Madre will not be saved by a Navy SEAL operation or a declaration of war. If it survives at all, it will be saved by something far harder to manufacture than firepower. Will. The will to keep sending supply boats through a wall of Chinese ships, week after week, year after year. The will to stay. "14 Marines on a decomposing ship, surrounded by 241 Chinese vessels a day, sitting above $3 trillion in annual trade, on a reef that may determine who leads the 21st century. This is not a local dispute. This is the frontier of the world order. China and America will inevitably compete for influence, but if handled with wisdom, this competition need not become confrontation." Lee Kuan Yew, 2013. The sun rises every morning over 2nd Thomas Shoal. Beautiful. Crimson. Gold. And somewhere in that glow, 14 men eat their rations, watch the horizon, and wait for a supply boat to come through. While around them, the Cabbage closes, one leaf at a time.